In this video, we'll be overclocking the Intel Core i7-11700K up to 5.3 GHz using the EK Quantum MSI MPG Z590 Carbon EKX motherboard. The Intel Core i7-11700K is the successor to the i7-10700K, which we overclocked once before on this channel, also with a Carbon EKX motherboard. The Core i7-11700K offers 8 cores and 16 threads, with a listed base frequency of 3.6 GHz and a listed boost frequency up to 5 GHz. It is rated at 125 watt TDP and should retail at an MSRP of $486 US. The Z590 Carbon EKX is the successor of the Z490 Carbon EKX and is available in both MSI's as well as EK's sales channel. The Carbon EKX bundles an improved EK monoblock with flow indicator, a leak tester, and an MSI motherboard featuring revamped looks and an upgraded VRM solution. Regular viewers of this channel will know that we previously used the Z590 Carbon EKX to overclock the Core i9-10850K processor. In this video, we'll cover the basic steps required to get your CPU all the way up to 5.3 GHz using custom loop water cooling. We'll dig into 3 overclocking strategies. First, we will enable MSI's water cooling mode and enable XMP. Second, we will overclock using the turbo ratio offset methodology. Lastly, we try to squeeze a little bit more out of the CPU with manual overclocking. But before we start, let's first talk a little bit about Intel Rocket Lake and the hardware that we'll be using in this guide. Intel's 11th generation of core products for desktop, codenamed Rocket Lake, was officially introduced by Intel during the CES 2021 trade show and came to market in March 2021. Rocket Lake is the successor to Intel's 10th generation Comet Lake processors. Rocket Lake sports a brand new CPU core architecture while still on the vastly improved 14nm process node. The CPU core is built upon the Cypress Cove architecture, which is the backported version of Sunny Cove, a core designed for 10nm Ice Lake, with some additional performance improvements. Due to the increased core size, the flagship Core i9-11900K offers up to 8 cores and 16 threads, compared to its Core i9-10900K predecessors, 10 cores and 20 threads. Rocket Lake CPUs do gain support for Deep Learning Boost and AVX 512 instruction sets, and up to 19% instructions per clock improvement. Compared to the 10700K, the i7-11700K has a 200 MHz lower base frequency of 3.6 GHz and 100 MHz lower maximum boost frequency of 5 GHz. Other new features include slightly elevated default memory support up to DDR4 3200, 20 PCIe 4.0 lanes from the CPU, doubled bandwidth of the DMI link, and moving the integrated graphics to the new XE graphics architecture. Rocket Lake will work on both 500 series and 400 series motherboards, though not on the B460 or H410. Obviously, that means the Rocket Lake CPUs fit in the LGA 1200 socket. Along with the Core i7-11700K processor and EK Quantum MSI MPG Z590 Carbon EKX motherboard, in this guide, we will be using an NVIDIA RTX 2080 Ti, a pair of G.Skill Trident Z DDR4 4266 memory sticks, a Seasonic Prime 850W Platinum power supply, the Elmore Labs P80 DB2 LPC debug card, and of course EK Quantum water cooling. All this is mounted on top of our favorite open bench table. The cost of the components should be around $3,500. That's $486 for the CPU, $600 for the cooling, $500 for the motherboard, $1,300 for the graphics card, $180 for the memory, $200 for the power supply, $30 for the debug card, and $200 for the bench table. With all this in mind, let's jump into the benchmarks and the overclocking. Here's a list of the benchmarks that we'll use in this guide. Before we get started with pushing the performance of the Intel Core i7-11700K processor, let's first have a look at the performance at stock settings. Note that by default, the Carbon EKX comes with unlocked turbo boost parameters. So, in order to obtain the performance results at stock settings, you need to enter the BIOS and press F7 to enter advanced mode, go to the OC menu, set CPU cooler tuning to bucked cooler, enter the advanced CPU configuration submenu, set long duration power limit to 125, set long duration maintained to 56, set short duration power limit to 250. Then save and exit the BIOS. The performance at stock settings is SuperPi 4M 32.539 seconds. Geekbench 5 single, 1,623 points. Geekbench 5 multi, 8,876 points. HW X265 4K, 15.635 frames per second. Cinebench R23 single, 1,540 points. Cinebench R23 multi, 11,835 points. V-Ray 5, 10,059 V-samples. 3D Mark Night Raid, 39,293 points. Final Fantasy XIV, 75.05 frames per second. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX enabled, the CPU operates stably at 3.6 GHz with 1.043 volt. The average CPU temperature is 53 degrees centigrade, and the average VRM temperature is 36 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 125 watt. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX disabled, the CPU operates stably at 4 GHz with 1.084 volts. The average CPU temperature is 48 degrees centigrade, and the average VRM temperature is 36 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 126 watt. Any aspiring overclocker should be aware of the Turbo Boost 2.0 technology. Turbo Boost 2.0 allows for higher CPU performance when there is sufficient power, current, and thermal headroom. The long story short is that Turbo Boost 2.0 allows the processor to increase the power consumption temporarily above the TDP rating to achieve higher performance. It manages this by accumulating energy budget during periods of idle time that can be deployed when necessary during periods of high load. We discussed the Intel Turbo Boost 2.0 technology at length in a previous video titled Intel Turbo Boost 2.0 and Intel Turbo Boost Max 3.0 Explored. While we use a different CPU, the Turbo Boost principles explained in that video also apply to our configuration. By unlocking the power limits, we effectively tell the CPU to run at the highest possible turbo boost indefinitely. Since the Carbon EKX is a motherboard that is geared towards the users of custom loop water cooling, it kind of makes sense that water cooling mode is enabled by default. So the power limits are unlocked by default. Then all we need to do is simply load the optimized defaults, and that's it. We also enable XMP. XMP stands for Extreme Memory Profile. It allows memory vendors such as G.Skill to program higher performance settings onto the memory sticks. If the motherboard supports XMP, then you can enable the higher performance with a single BIOS setting. So it saves you from lots of manual configuration. We discussed the Intel XMP technology at length in a previous video titled Intel Extreme Memory Profile Explained. Upon entering the BIOS, click XMP Profile 1. Press F7 to enter Advanced Mode. Enter the OC menu. Ensure CPU cooler tuning is set to water cooler. Then save and exit the BIOS. We reran the benchmarks and checked the performance increase compared to stock operation. The performance uplift is most notable in multi-threaded benchmark applications, which would typically be more constrained by the default power limits. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX enabled, the CPU operates stably at 4.6 GHz with 1.302 volts. The average CPU temperature is 98 degrees centigrade, and the average VRM temperature is 50 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 277 watt. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX disabled, the CPU operates stably at 4.6 GHz with 1.242 volt. The average CPU temperature is 66 degrees centigrade, and the average VRM temperature is 41 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 197 watt. Anyway, let's do some manual overclocking. MSI offers a really easy way to overclock your CPU using the turbo ratio offset mode. Turbo ratio offset basically lifts all the turbo ratios up from default by a certain amount. Regular viewers will know that we also use this overclocking technique in our Core i7-11700K and Core i9-10850K overclocking videos. Setting the turbo ratio offset uses the default method of applying turbo ratios, meaning the frequency is determined by how many cores are active. In this new configuration, the frequency will be 5.3 GHz when up to 2 cores are active, 5.2 GHz when 3 or 4 cores are active, 5 GHz when 5 or 6 cores are active, and 4.9 GHz when 7 or 8 cores are active. We also need to set a negative ratio offset when running AVX to prevent the CPUs from getting too hot. Based on the Prime 95 with AVX enabled result from the previous section, we know that a heavy AVX workload with the CPU at 1.3 volt will result in a CPU temperature of over 95 degrees centigrade. So in this case, we set a negative offset of -7. This will result in a CPU frequency of 4.6 GHz with 1.3 volt when running AVX instructions. For the voltage, we choose adaptive voltage mode. I have already talked at length on this channel about adaptive voltage and even have a separate video out on the topic. In short, Intel CPUs come with a factory-fused VF curve for each of the 8 individual CPU cores. VF curve stands for voltage frequency curve. This means that for each ratio up to the default maximum turbo boost ratio, Intel has specified a certain voltage. The Core i7-11700K has a default maximum turbo ratio of 50x. When using adaptive voltage mode, we tell the CPU it should follow the factory-fused voltages for all ratios of 50x and lower. However, for ratios 50x and up, things get a little bit more complicated. Intel uses one register to define the target voltage for all ratios that are above the default maximum turbo ratio. In our case, that would mean for ratios 50x, 51x, 52x, and 53x, there's one target voltage. Obviously, the voltage required for 53x will be much higher than for 50x, and it would be unreasonable to use the voltage required for 53x for the lower ratios. That's why Intel interpolates the voltage between the maximum turbo ratio and the maximum default turbo ratio less 1. So in our case, between 49x and 53x. We set the adaptive voltage to 1.45 volts for 53x. 53x will only be set when 2 cores are active, so we won't have to worry about overheating. The target voltage for ratios 50x, 51x, and 52x will be interpolated between 1.34 volt and 1.45 volt. While we don't know the exact formula Intel uses to set the target voltages, we can estimate it by evenly dividing the difference between 1.45 volt and 1.34 volts. So for 50x we expect 1.368 volt, for 51x we expect 1.395 volts, and for 52x we expect 1.423 volts. Upon entering the BIOS, click XMP Profile 1 to enable XMP. Press F7 to enter the advanced mode. Enter the OC menu. Set CPU ratio apply mode to turbo ratio offset. Set turbo ratio offset value to +3. Enter the advanced CPU configuration submenu. Set Intel C state to enabled. Set TVB ratio clipping to disabled. Leave the advanced CPU configuration submenu. In the CPU AVX control section, set CPU ratio offset when running AVX to -7. Set CPU ratio offset when running AVX 512 to -7. In the voltage settings section, set CPU core voltage mode to adaptive mode. Set CPU core voltage to 1.45. Then save the settings and exit the BIOS. We reran the benchmarks and checked the performance increase compared to default operation. As you can see, the performance uplift is quite impressive across the board. There seems to be plenty of performance headroom left in the i7-11700K, both in single and multi-threaded scenarios. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX enabled, the CPU operates stably at 4.6 GHz with 1.295 volt. The average CPU temperature is 95 degrees centigrade, and the average VRM temperature is 48 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 258 watts. When running Prime 95 small FFT with AVX disabled, the CPU operates stably at 4.9 GHz with 1.34 volts. The average CPU temperature is 79 degrees centigrade, and the average VRM temperature is 46 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 246 watts. In our last strategy, we'll do manual overclocking. Looking at the big picture of overclocking Rocket Lake, we know there's 5 different aspects of the CPU that we can tune for more performance. The maximum CPU frequency in low-threaded light workloads, the maximum CPU frequency in heavily threaded non-AVX workloads, the maximum CPU frequency in heavily threaded AVX workloads, the maximum ring frequency, and the maximum memory frequency. Let's tackle each of those one by one. It's already very nice that we managed to increase the 2-core maximum ratio to 53x. This matches the turbo velocity boost frequency of the 11900K. While we were able to get 54x several times in the operating system, it was not possible to achieve a stable setting. So we leave the maximum frequency for light workloads to 53. Judging by the Prime 95 non-AVX result from the previous section, we know that the average temperature of running all cores at 49x is only 79 degrees centigrade, so there's still headroom to go higher. The main constraint will be the CPU voltage. We cannot directly configure the voltage for 50x or 51x, but rather have to rely on interpolation by the CPU. At these voltage levels, the difference between staying below or going above our maximum temperature threshold is very small. An increase of 10 millivolts can increase the average temperature by 5 degrees. While we were almost able to get 51x stable, in the end we had to settle for 50x to ensure full stability below 100 degrees centigrade. As for the all-core AVX frequency, we stick with what we know, 46x with 1.3 volt following the factory-fused VF curve. The ring frequency is the Achilles heel of the Rocket Lake architecture, where on Comet Lake we could see stable frequencies up to 4.8 GHz or even higher. On Rocket Lake, that's unobtainable. On Rocket Lake CPUs, for the time being, I don't manually configure the ring ratio and just let the CPU decide how far it should downbin the frequency in order to ensure stability. For the memory frequency, we enable XMP as well as apply the memory triad settings we know from the 10850K overclocking video. If you're unfamiliar with memory triad, I suggest you check out my separate video on the topic, as well as have a look at how we used it when overclocking the Core i9 10850K with the very same Z590 Carbon EKX motherboard. Now that you understand our manual settings, let's configure them in the BIOS. Upon entering the BIOS, click XMP Profile 1 to enable XMP. Press F7 to enter the advanced mode. Enter the OC menu. Set CPU ratio apply mode to turbo ratio. Set 1 core ratio limit to 8 core ratio limit to 53, 53, 52, 52, 52, 51, 50, 50. Enter the advanced CPU configuration submenu. Set Intel C state to enabled. Set TVB ratio clipping to disabled. Leave the advanced CPU configuration submenu. In the CPU AVX control section, set CPU ratio offset when running AVX to -7. Set CPU ratio offset when running AVX 512 to -7. In the DRAM setting section, set memory triad to DDR4 4266 CL17. In the voltage setting section, set CPU core voltage mode to adaptive mode. Set CPU core voltage to 1.485. Then save the settings and exit the BIOS. We reran the benchmarks and checked the performance increase compared to default operation. As you can see, our manual overclock achieved the highest performance across all benchmarks. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX enabled, the CPU operates stably at 4.6 GHz with 1.295 volts. The average CPU temperature is 95 degrees centigrade and the average VRM temperature is 50 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 258 watt. When running Prime 95 small FFTs with AVX disabled, the CPU operates stably at 5 GHz with 1.385 volts. The average CPU temperature is 90 degrees centigrade and the average VRM temperature is 52 degrees centigrade. The average CPU package power is 275 watts. Alright, let's wrap this up. Here's a hot take. If the overclocking capabilities of the sample that I tested is representative of what the majority of the 11700K processors will be able to do, then I think that this might become an enthusiast's favorite. With a bit more pushing, I would have probably been able to get 5.4 GHz for 1 or 2 cores and 5.1 GHz for all cores. So all in all, that would have been 400 MHz and 500 MHz higher than what the CPU comes with at stock. That's just darn impressive. The only downside will be that overclocking a Rocket Lake CPU is very temperature dependent. Unlike Big Shack, Rocket Lake is kind of hot. The Carbon EKX, fortunately, is a board that is geared toward custom loop water cooling users. So everything you need to cool the processor correctly is already in the box. That's why I definitely approve of MSI enabling the power limit, or let's say unconstraining the power limits by default, because I think, yeah, it gives you 25% more performance out of the box. And with custom loop water cooling, there's really no problem to handle any of that. All right, so that's it for this video. I'll definitely have one more video on the Core i5 Rocket Lake CPU. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And till the next time.